no problems with anybody retaining whatever name they want and following whatever faith they want.
Anand,
My problem starts,
Anand,
Mr.
the
Tirupati, when
problem
somebody tells you that
Anand.
you should remove your deities and
Anand.
the deities that you follow are wrong. My problem is
Anand.
there.
Anand,
They have no
1 minute.
business doing that.
The problem here is this. It is a decade-old problem which is going on. Even they would have been students, they have got converted. Everything starts from education. And it is unfortunate that in Tamil Nadu, even in government schools it has started. Government school teachers, they are trying to convert. Government school teachers saying that Hindu gods are Satan. And this should be controlled. Unfortunately, we have a DMK government. The chief minister says that because of the Christians, he has become the chief minister. We have unfortunate situation in Tamil Nadu.
No, sir, he is the chief minister of the entire state. There is no doubt about that. It is his constitutional duty, and it is his pledge that he's taken that every citizen of the state, their rights will be protected. Our question is very clear. Does a 12-year-old child need to be subjected to this kind of treatment in schools? And do teachers have the right to go ahead and speak in this manner and to openly go ahead and profess or propagate or persuade or push their faith? They are not even professing. They are pushing, and they are creating a certain situation of pressure. Is that fair or not? Mr. Bagan, please come back in, and then I'll come to you, Mr. Rajashekharan. Yes, sir.
Sir, if anybody says there is no conversion, that means we are not ready to accept the reality. Correct. We are viewing this issue through a monocular screen rather than a binocular vision. Our friend, the very efficient advocate, is arguing for a very poor case. He is saying there is 100% literacy in Tamil Nadu. First of all, it is not true. But there may be literacy, but we are not educated. We are not educated to get insulated ourselves from the onslaught of proselytization and evangelization. He feels that if there is proper education and literacy, we can withstand this pressure for conversion or force for conversion. I want to give an example. Even some IAS officers in record, they are Hindus. Our Narayanan Tirupati knows they are Hindus. And they openly say, I believe in Christ. What is his answer? What is the Rajashekharan's answer to this? We are confining ourselves to educational institution alone.
Correct.
But there are hospitals are there. There are matrimonial centers are there. So everywhere, among the Christians, we can say more evangelic and less evangelic. They are very much religious conscious. Then their ideology and their theology is replacement. Even one fellow remains as a non-Christian. It is a failure for the birth of Jesus Christ. So before the formation of the kingdom of heaven, everybody should be converted.
No, Mr. Bagan, Mr. Bagan, I'm going to steer back to what is the subject matter here. Yes, there is proselytization. Yes, there is a racket which is going on. But my point is, should students be allowed to be subject to such pressure? Should they be subject to such discrimination? Should this be allowed so brazenly that you actually stand up to cover up? A key accused in a video testimony in the case of Lavanya, the person who was named as the prime accused was garlanded by the local MLA when she came out on bail.
DMK MLA.
Now, what does that symbolify? Is that fair on that child and the lawyer on behalf of the school openly in open court vilified and tried to character assassinate the parents of Lavanya? Is this what we are going to allow? Is that an unfair question to ask, Mr. Bagan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is not at all fair. It is not at all human also. It is inhuman. At the tender age of 12 or 13, the student, the children, they don't know what is right and what is bad. The school atmosphere forces them to get converted to Christianity. So, they have split of minds. One thing says you follow the tradition. Another thing says you follow the new faith. So there is a conflict is there. And many families, they are torn to pieces. Their tranquility is damaged because of the conversion of small children.
My question
So
is
it is
this
not only
then does this fall under the ambit of forced conversion, Ramaswamy Mayappan? Because the petition claims forced conversion and the government says it is not forced. And how are you going to prove this in court?
We always talk about UDHR, the Declaration on Human Rights. Article 18, Article 2 clearly talk about how one individual has rights to practice their religion, their belief system without others impinging on it. So first, UDHR itself protects us. Let us not go anywhere. And then second, our constitution talks about secularism and equality. All that is asked of the state is to maintain that secular character of the state and state institutions. Let there be regulation that no one brings in religious into the school. And two is for equality to be ensured that students are not discriminated on that basis. No one is questioned. Leave all these things aside. Just as a common man, when I send a child to a school, what do I expect? The child gets treated there fairly, equally, and gets a beneficial treatment as much as any other student next to it without being discriminated, and gets fair education and comes back. And when a student goes there and even just remotely gets a sense that because the child bears a religious symbol or has a name that shows allegiance to a certain religion or anything that's going to be discriminated, that in itself breaks the fact or causes cause for concern because the child is not getting good education to start with.
Right.
That should be the primary concern. All that the case asks for is regulations to be framed so that this event does not occur and the child is protected. No one is asking for a religious conversion law in the state. All this petition asks is to protect these students. When they go to school, they are treated fairly, they are not discriminated, and there is no such action. And if such action happens, immediately there is repercussion on the staff, the management, and the funding that happens to that school. That is all is what is asked.
No,
and if my friend Rajesh Shekharan thinks that is not a fair ask, I'm not sure what else is fair.
No, well, he is entitled to his point of view. We'll have to see if the state is there to protect the interests of all the students and especially the children and educational institutions. They'll see. Their hearing will continue tomorrow. They have argued on the grounds of maintainability. The court has said we'll listen to the petition and why can't you frame rules? That's where the matter stands at the moment. Let's try and quickly just see what the law says. Our research team has put together something, ladies and gentlemen, to try and understand what the law says. Religious conversion, and this is what the law says. The Supreme Court's interpretation of Article 25 or right to religion does not grant the right to convert to one's own religion. It doesn't. No such thing as a fundamental right to convert any person to one's own religion. It's not a fundamental right at all. That's what the law very clearly says. It says it has upheld constitutionality of anti-conversion laws of Odisha and Madhya Pradesh in the past. Haryana has barred conversion via allurement, coercion and fraudulent means. They have put in a law already in place, and the punishment is provision for imprisonment, jail and a fine. We also have Himachal Pradesh that prohibits conversion by misrepresentation, undue influence, inducement and coercion. And Himachal Pradesh deemed non-bailable offence 7-year jail term if you do this. In Gujarat, conversions have to be approved by the district magistrate. Provision for imprisonment, jail and fine. So this is what, and the government, the Supreme Court of our country has upheld the maintainability of anti-conversion laws. Here, we are not saying Tamil Nadu needs to have a clause against conversion. It needs to have laws in place to ensure students are not subjected to pressure, persuasion, inducement, allurement, and more importantly, mental harassment and trauma, discrimination, differentiation. That should not be allowed. That's what our sting actually unearthed, along with some of the cases that have come in recently, which is part of this writ petition. I thank all our panelists for joining us here on debate number 1. Thank you very, very much.